All right, YouTube is all set, Ed, and now Zoom is all set. You're good to go.
All right, thank you, and good evening and welcome to the November 4th, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Estimate and Tax. To get us going, Madam Clerk, may I ask you to call a roll, please?
Mayor Rilling, Mr. Abrams,
Here.
Mr. Camacho,
I'm here.
Mr. Constant,
I saw Kendrick
Here.
Yeah, there he is.
Mr. Gilleret,
Here.
Mr. Cassinis,
Here.
Miss Yang.
Here.
6, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The first order of business on our agenda tonight is the approval of the minutes from our October 7th meeting. May I get somebody to move that for discussion and
move it.
approval, please? Thank you, Artie. Any changes, additions, amendments to the minutes as presented in our package? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The minutes are approved. All right. There are no special appropriations this evening, so we will move right into the transfer agenda, which begins on page 7 of our package. So, Tom, do you want to lead us through the transfer discussion?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry. I almost screwed up again. Can I get somebody to move the transfers for discussion and approval, please?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Artie.
All right, yeah, the first transfers are all within the operations and public works world, central fleet management. I'll speak to these. I opted to give Vanessa the night off since these are fairly straightforward. But basically, if anybody's been to City Hall recently, say the last few months, you'll notice that there are a number of charging stations that are now here at our facility. There's also one at the operations facility down on South Smith Street. And we have a little bit of a track record in terms of what the electrical charges are. So this is not an ask from contingency. They're just taking money out of their fuel account and transferring it over to the newly opened EV charging accounts because we wanted to segregate those costs and plan for them going forward. So, and the reason this is on is because it's over $5,000.
Tom, this is Troy. Real quick, are these for the new cars that we bought, the new electric vehicles?
Yes. Yeah.
Are we seeing? Is it too early to see if there is a savings versus the traditional fuel option?
My hunch, I haven't seen anything. My hunch is it's probably too early, but I can check with Vanessa. She's usually here almost daily for one reason or another. So I will. I'll ask her next time I see her.
And what percentage of the fleet now is EV? I know we bought a lot of these over the last for the city part.
I don't know offhand. Tom Livingston, do you have an idea what the makeup is?
I can tell you that there are 4 100% EV vehicles at City Hall. There's also one, smaller little pickup EV down at Smith Street, and there are a number of hybrids. The police are also purchasing 2 EV vehicles, one for each of the high schools. I don't know if those have arrived yet, but those are in the works. So I think the short answer, I believe, is 6 plus hybrid vehicles, 6 regular vehicles, 1 mini little pickup the DPW uses, and then hybrids.
The goal was, I think, was the goal, did you have a percentage in mind or how many we want it to be? Because I know there's a lot of the white cars in the parking lot at City Hall.
I don't know that there's a goal in mind. Obviously, we look at costs, we look at the replacement needs. So we're not buying any vehicle we wouldn't otherwise have purchased, either EV or a regular. So it's as the fleet nears its end of useful life, then they're replaced in accordance with the normal operating procedures. And we're looking where EV or hybrid where possible.
Thank you.
Artie, I believe you had a question?
Yeah, quick question. EV Charge Public, that's for public works, correct? Not for the public.
No,
No,
actually,
sorry, go ahead, Tom.
yeah, actually they are for the public. There are three sets if you count. There's one
Okay.
down Smith Street. There's one set at City Hall over where sort of by the ball field. Well, they're both by the ball field, over where the regular fleet of vehicles are kept. Those are for city use only. But the set that's over by the loading dock, those are available to the public as well.
So does the city make any money off of those?
I don't know the answer to that. If anything, it'd be minimal. I don't know.
So we don't charge for someone to just go and hook up.
Well, no, they have to pay. They do have to pay, but they pay we're not paying for the electricity. I don't know the arrangement in terms of whether we get any sort of share of the cost that they pay. I honestly, we might, I just don't know.
So we paid $10,000 for the public to use it. Are we going to recoup that from the public?
Well, we also use them for the city vehicles as well. But the answer is, Artie, I don't know. I'd have to have Vanessa answer that question. Whether we
Okay.
get a percentage or not.
What type of EVs did we get?
There are 4 Teslas and there are 2, I believe they're Blazers. The police vehicles are Blazers. I may be wrong on that, but it's another vehicle.
I can tell you that relative to the Tesla, the break-even prices, if gas is more than $2 a gallon, which it is at this time, it's cheaper to run the electric vehicles.
Any additional questions on this proposed transfer?
I would just add that, Artie, that's a good question, Artie, about the $10,000. I mean, if we are charging the public to use them, I would like to see if we're getting a spread on that.
Yeah, I agree. We
Right,
should
so
get that
it's a-
10,000
it's a-
back somehow.
It's a follow-up question that we can get from Vanessa as to if we are charging for use or if it's just straight pass-through cost.
Take care of that.
Any additional questions on this item? All right, Tom, should we move to the next transfer and then we'll approve everything at the end of the discussion?
Yeah, we got this one and then police department as well, but this next one is a request from contingency for a project manager within the transportation, mobility, and parking world, and we have Jim Travers on the line to discuss this one. All yours, Jim.
Hi, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Excuse me. So this morning, bright and early, we had the opportunity to host yet another press announcement that you probably see in the news tonight and the papers tomorrow. The city is a recipient of a $14 million raise grant. This is the city's 4th attempt at raise grant. This was successful, so we were out in numbers celebrating it today. This will improve the transportation network around and to the Sono train station in the streets directly adjacent to the train station, but the largest impact is also going to come in reclaiming MLK from this very heavy industrial highway that's in the middle of our city into an urban boulevard that's suitable, that we have bike connections and things. But I'm getting lost in just that one grant. Last week we also stood on Wall Street and did the groundbreaking of what is now a 27 million plus project to reclaim Wall Street. First phase is a $2.4 million project on East Wall. We are also out to bid today on a $1.5 million Sono sidewalk project. We will be out by the end of the year with a $1.3 million project within Hospital Hill. Those are grant funded projects, and sticking with our grant funded projects, we all have a $3.5 million roundabout funded for Cedar at Richards, a $3.5 million roundabout at the Sono School, another $3 million roundabout at Gregory at 5th with improvements to 5th. And then additionally, we're also doing sidewalk connection on Soundview, where we get a tremendous amount of requests from the community as they see hundreds of students walking through a very dangerous section where there's not a sidewalk today. So the reality is we've been more successful with grants than I think we thought. We've gotten more than we've not. That's a great thing. The flip side of that is I think we have more work than we could handle. So the request is for a project manager to help manage some of these projects. So happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Artie.
Can one of the grants pay for the project manager?
So we are looking at that before the initial ask of a grant has to include that. Some of them offer the ability to do staff, others do not. But the initial requests never included the cost for a project manager.
So when we filed the grants, they did not exclude any headcount requirements to operationalize them, and we therefore need to fund it out of contingency. Yes?
Yes, correct. Yes.
And this will be, looks like $100,000 salary if you annualize it,
Yes.
and a full-time with benefits and everything eventually, or?
Yes.
In exchange for $14 million.
More than
Well, 14, I think 14 million is just the one that we announced today, right? That we have Wall Street as is looking at a $27 million project, of which over $21 million is already funded by grants. The sidewalk project is 1.5 million grants. The 3 roundabouts that I spoke with are all 3 grants. That equates to $10 million. So we are up there surpassing $50 million worth of grant requests.
It's not a bad trade-off.
Understood. And Jim, you do understand that if we fund it this way this year, you will need to fund it out of your base budget for FY26 within the budget parameters that we set in terms of growth for departmental spend. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Additional questions for Jim?
Great job.
All right.
Thank you.
Seeing none, and Tom, the police, I noticed, isn't in transfers, it's in the rollover discussion and other business, so.
Yeah, that one did not get addressed last month, and I'll
Yep.
but if you guys want to vote on the regular
Yep.
transfers
So
first.
that's, you mentioned it here, I was just letting the rest of us know, these are really the only transfers for this evening. So all in favor of the transfers as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The transfers are approved. But again, let the record show that we do want the information back from Vanessa Tom on the public charging, please.
Will do.
Thank you. All right, moving on to other business, section C, that begins on page 11 of our agenda. Tom, first is the contingency tracker, then the police budget rollover request, and then the informational update on the Norwalk Public Schools.
Correct. So last month at the October BET meeting, we did not have any contingency requests. So the last activity was at the BET meeting on September 9th. And we started the year with 2.6 million in contingency. We now have 2.5 million remaining in there. And then that will come down another 50 grand after the approval you just did on Jim's transfer. And again, this is substantially higher than regular years due to the ongoing contract negotiations with our labor unions. We have a contingency amount in there based on to be used in the event that they settle higher than where we are right now, which is 2.35%.
Yep. And per our last meeting, we can expect the next update on that right around the first of the year, I believe is what the minute said.
On the labor unions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were hoping to have it done by now, but it's anybody's guess. I will say that I just read this morning that 2 of the largest unions in Greenwich just settled at 2.5% increases, which is better than Boeing, I guess, which is looking for what 9 or 10%. So let's get closer to Greenwich, not Boeing. Anyway, so on to one more rollover request. You'll recall that last month we went through an extensive list of budget rollovers. We did 2 pages of police ones, and this was my oversight. We did not get these last 3 into the agenda package, so therefore they were not voted on. Mickey is here to follow up on this. He actually spoke to these last month, but again, since they weren't in the agenda, we figured we'd bring it back for full transparency. And Mickey, you can take it away.
Well, before we give it to Mickey, can I get somebody to move the rollover
Oh, yeah.
since it requires approval, please?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Artie.
Thank you, everyone. Like Tom said, the bulk of our rollovers were approved last month. Thank you. They're all in the line items. Couple really quick kind of supply chain issues. We had some issues with our marine vessels. We had some money set aside, and by the time they got fixed, it's moving into this fiscal year. So we're just moving the money forward that we had reserved. Same thing with firearms. A lot of firearms still having supply chain issues. The prices are going up. We're trying to take advantage of the good prices. And that was some money that we had set aside. They weren't available in last fiscal year. They're available now. So we're going to purchase them as soon as we get approval. Lastly, as everyone knows, we have a program where we front some money for bulletproof vests. And then we get the money back or portion of it and put it back in the account. So once again, that kind of about sums it up. I'll be happy to take any questions if anybody has any.
Just a question for clarity, at least in my online version of the package that I have, Tom. The reason for the rollover on firearms seems to be a cut and paste from the marine vehicle. We should get that updated, please, for the record.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I can send a revision tomorrow if that's acceptable.
We'll talk tomorrow on the
Okay.
language. I think I have it, but I'll run it by you
Okay.
before I put it in.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everyone.
Any questions for Mickey? Seeing none, all in favor of the rollovers as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The rollovers are approved. Mickey, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your night.
Thank
too.
you.
Next on our agenda is the informational update on the new school construction. As I'll remind us as a board, we ask that on a quarterly basis, we get an update as to where we are on the school construction, the cash flow, etc. I will remind us that as a board, this is again informational for us. We can certainly ask questions of clarity, but the discretionary allocation of these funds, uses, etc., is handled through other folks. So again, appreciate the team coming forward. We want to stay on top of this. We want to watch expense. We want to make sure we stay within budget, but respect the command and control as it were for processes like this across the various departments. So Tom, I'm not sure who's going to speak to this tonight. You, Jared, somebody else. I'll turn it to you guys for the update.
Yeah, we actually have sorry, Jared, did you want to go first or?
Yeah, I'll start it.
Okay.
Just, we've talked about this a couple meetings now, so I wanted to let you all know that I think we've arrived at a report or the semblance of a report that we can give you on a regular basis. One of the reports is something that the schools do, and they do it for the Land Use and Building Management Committee of the Common Council. And so rather than reinvent the wheel, we can take that report and include that on a monthly basis for you to review and for you to peruse. It's not something that we really plan on updating or giving a major presentation on, but it may be helpful for you to look at it to give you some context to any of the numbers that may be presented. So that'll be one aspect to it on a quarterly basis. So you'll get that on a monthly basis. On a quarterly basis, we'll also include the similar to the contingency tracker, we'll include a cash flow tracker for this project for both of the projects, which is also in your packet there, and you can see any any variations that will that may materialize in the future. You can see the last page of this particular part of the presentation. You can get a sense of where we stand there. There has been an application for reimbursement for the first reimbursement, which has been fulfilled. We've gotten the reimbursement for that. As of right now, there's some expenditures have gone out, and this is through September. Expenditures have obviously gone out through September, and we've made the application for reimbursement. We are still waiting on the reimbursement, which typically takes 60 days or so. So that's where we stand right now.
Questions for Jared?
To
Sure.
read,
Troy, you're muted if you're trying to talk.
I
Go
think
ahead, I'm sorry.
muted now. So I think we're on page 22 out of 28 or 21 out of 77. So the actual cash flow and the reimbursement is the second column. So we put in to be reimbursed for the fourth quarter of 24. Well, it's quarter 4. Okay, so fiscal quarter, 13,927,174, and we've received that full amount.
Yes.
Okay. So, okay, so that is good. So we've spent 24, but we've filed for 13 in reimbursement. What's the $11 million difference?
So this is a 60% reimbursement rate
Got it.
for this one.
Okay.
And you'll note that if you do the math, if you wanted to do the math, that it comes out to slightly less than 60% because there's always going to be some portion of the project that is not covered by the 60%. I believe when I did it, it came out to about 57% in the case of the Sono School. Norwalk High School is actually 80%. Is the nominal reimbursement rate.
Great, thank you.
Just a couple of phrases that in my old banking days, percentage of completion is helpful when we see these numbers, and also I guess it's a retainage number somewhere. Is that usually 5%, 5%, or what number is that usually?
So the retainage, would happen at the end of the project, and that could take a while before it gets paid, before the project gets audited. Currently, that rate is 11%, but we're looking into that. I know Alan and Jim are both looking into that because it has changed over the years. It used to be 5%, got bumped up to 11. Now there's been some turnover at the at DAS, who administers the program. And so we're trying to figure out whether or not they're going with the 5% or the 11% once the project is completed.
And the percentage of completion, if I assume that the total number of the Sono School starts off at what, whatever that total number was. So it's still a percentage of 24 so far is what's spent on the project at 70. What is the original amount? 70.
That the Sono project is probably a little bit of a misnomer because there was $15 million spent on property purchase. So it's not a one-to-one correlation of percent complete on the project itself because of the property purchase, if that's how you're looking at it.
Okay. And no change orders or anything at this point of note that is substantial?
There are a few minor ones. There are either in scope changes. There might be a few out of scope changes, but nothing significant at this point.
That variance looks good at 0% so far. Good.
Jared, what might be helpful is to have the actual cash flow being pluses and minuses. So black and red. Because you've got, do you see what I'm saying?
So you want the cash flow projections to be black and the actuals to be red? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no. It's what goes out is red and what comes back is black. Inflows and outflows. Because right now it's hard to tell which are, you have to read the lines to figure out the inflows and outflows. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's easy enough.
Yeah, these colors are pluses and minuses.
So it's fair to say, Jared, right now, as of the Sono school, since that's obviously a little further down the line, on budget and on time. Is that fair?
Jim?
Yes, at this point, yeah. And if Alan was here, he typically does not like to make a commitment until April to have the school turned over. But right now, everything is moving along very well, especially on the South Norwalk School. It's moving along very well. We don't anticipate any problems at this point. You know, we have steel up, we have slabs poured. So typically our unforeseens, we've kind of past that right now. There's still, you know, somewhat of a possibility, but I think it's less of an issue for us at this point.
And those two items I read in the paper, the eminent domain items, those two properties, is that going to delay the project at all until you can get that resolved through the courts? Or?
No. In terms of being able to build a school, no, not at all. The school, like I said, the steel is up, the slabs are poured.
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
So the school is moving forward. What it does is, you know, if we have to, we can still complete the project as originally designed. The other two pieces of property that they are looking to get would be nice to have prior
Jim,
to opening, but it's not necessary.
Jim, if I could interject here. Yeah, we filed on both the properties with the courts. So there's a process. Our goal is to have particularly the rail spur by year end. That is the one that is on South Main, border South Main, and that would enable us to put the access to the site from South Main. The other one we're also working on, if that's necessary as part of it's next to the parking lot and for the new school and some traffic arrangements there. But we anticipate having both. We filed for both.
Great.
It won't hold us up.
Good.
Thank you. Additional questions?
Yeah, is the reimbursement rate still 60% both for hard and soft costs?
I'm sorry, the reimbursement, Alan just texted whoever's in charge of the meeting that I think he's in the waiting room. The project budget is both hard and soft costs. It's total project budget.
Okay, and we are reimbursed both on our
hard and soft costs, yes. There are, again, as Jared stated, there are some items that are ineligible, limited eligible, things of that nature.
Can we put any of the infrastructure costs, like the drainage, the additional drainage, and changing the configuration of the intersection to make it safer? Can that be in any way put into the costs and we receive reimbursement for that?
No, because that's off-site. It's outside the property line, and the state will not reimburse for work outside the property line.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
I'm not sure which one. I've got three people in the in the attendees area, and I just allowed cell phone ending in 9502 to speak. Is that you, Alan?
I have to jump off to another meeting, so I'm gonna, unless there are any additional action items, I'm gonna jump off at this point.
There is one, Ed, but we can catch you up on it because we'll still have a quorum after
Okay.
you.
Okay, all right, thank
It's
you. I
very
appreciate it.
minor.
Okay, thank you.
I know we're
don't see him
trying to
on there,
figure out
Jim.
Alan, but I think we've got all the questions answered at this point. So, Tom, why don't we maybe, while we get Alan on the line, he's more than happy to hear that, Jared and Jim did a great job on the update. And why don't we move to Lisa and her update?
Right. Lisa, all yours?
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm sorry I missed you last month, but I know Al was with you. I appreciate your approving our rollover request, so thank you very much. In the meantime, in your packet for tonight's meeting, we do have our report that we did for the end of September. We haven't gotten our numbers together for October yet, but as of the end of September, we were at 54.04% of the current levy, which is right where we needed to be. And the update on the tax sale, we did end up collecting just under 6.6 million on that sale. We had most of the properties, all but I believe 7. We were left with 7 on the day of the sale. All the others paid off, except for we had about 6 property owners or lien holders did file for bankruptcy protection, federal bankruptcy protection. We had to take them out of the sale, and we will pursue them at a later date. But overall, that endeavor was very successful. We started working on it in November of 2023. So we worked on it for almost 10 months. And we brought in what we actually more than we originally had planned. The rest of the narrative that I gave you focused primarily on looking forward to our second installment billing, because here now we find ourselves already in November. November is a short month. We have 3 holidays in here. So we're already looking ahead to when we're going to get those bills in the mail. We did send delinquent notices for past due real estate and business personal property at the end of October. We are getting some payments coming in from that. We're also working on some enforcement relative to business personal property. We file uniform commercial code liens on the Secretary of the State's website. We're working on that now to try to secure payment of those past due taxes. So beyond that, I'm just hoping to get bills in the mail sometime in mid-December. But I'd be glad to answer any questions that you have for me, either about the tax sale or about our collections or anything you would like.
Question for Lisa. Sorry, it's the dogs bark in the background. Congratulations on the tax sale, Lisa. It's great that that was so successful.
Thank you. A lot of folks were involved in that sale, so.
Additional questions for Lisa? Thank you, Lisa. Tom, do we have anybody here from Oak Hills this evening or just?
Yeah, so Alan could not make it, but I see Denise on there, who is, I believe, the treasurer for Oak Hills. Denise, if you can hear me, you are welcome to speak.
Yes, hi, good evening. Yes, Alan luckily, he is in England for the next couple of weeks, visiting family and friends. So he's probably having a very nice time right now. So I'm here to talk about the September financials for Oak Hills. And let's see. So we're in our 3rd year for the fiscal year. I'm sorry, we're in our 3rd month for the fiscal year. And, actually, when you look at our year that we have our golf year, we're actually 3/4 into our golf year. We have 2 months left. So even though it's the fiscal year for the third month of the fiscal year. We're actually 3/4 of the way through with our golf year, looking at October and looking through into November, that kind of where our season ends. And we always kind of cross our fingers to hope that December will give us a few more weeks of good weather. But anyway, we've had a very good month for the month of September. We were 96,000 over the budget and our expenses were flat. So the 96,000 was good revenue for us for the month of September. We had very little rain, which has been unfortunate for everybody, but it allowed us to have a lot more golfers attending. And at the moment, we've paid the city 50,000 towards our debt since the beginning of July. And for the first time, our cash balance has reached over $1 million, which is, for us, a nice little mark of indication that we had a good year. That does include the 450,000 of our investments. So, but it's a nice little mark for Oak Hills to have reached that point for the moment. Let's see. Right now, we have a POS system that we're switching from Golf Now to 4UP, and we're hoping that's going to save us a little bit of money. And the bunker project right now is in process. It was a month late. They had some delivery problems with their their merchandise, but right now it started at the beginning of October. We're probably about 50% into it, so that should be wrapping up in a couple of weeks, which is it's going well. Jim Shell is very pleased with the way everything is going. They're not finding too many extra problems, so everything is kind of going according to schedule, which is a good thing. Does anybody have any questions at the moment?
No. So thank you very much for the update, Denise.
Thank you very much.
I have one question for my fellow board members, and I'm actually going to move, ask someone to move a discussion around the frequency of other updates in case we need to vote on this. Can I get somebody to move a discussion on frequency of other updates, please?
Do we have to add it to the agenda first, or?
I don't know. I don't believe so. Based on a conversation I had with Jared and Tom earlier. Let me just make it very clear what my question is.
Then I'll move it.
Thanks, Artie. And if I'm out of order on it, we'll come back on it. But my simple question is, we have Lisa and the Oak Hills Authority come to us on a monthly basis. I would like to suggest that we continue to get written updates as we have monthly, but are we comfortable as a board on having them come and provide us updates on a quarterly basis rather than every single month? It's simply a question of how we all feel. I mean, the Oak Hills updates for the last year have been pretty, everything's on track. Same with Lisa's. I'm just thinking about efficiency, use of everyone's time, and wondering if we're comfortable with monthly written updates and quarterly oral updates.
I think that makes sense. It's a good idea.
Okay. Again, I don't know if we need to vote on it. I don't think we do, since it's simply other business.
I don't think you need to vote. I don't think it was
No.
ever codified into your rules that you would take these up every month. And so I don't think there's any reason for all of you to vote on it. And if you have a consensus from the board, that would be good enough. If it's something that that many were opposed to, then you may want to vote on it for the record. But it sounds like you have enough support there.
Okay. Everybody's comfortable with it?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
So Tom, let's you and I work on a cadence for each so that maybe we spread them out a little bit.
Sure.
Right. And not have everybody come at the same meeting per quarter. But again, written updates every month are going to be required in our package. Okay.
Okay, so you'll let us know what you would like when down the road.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
The written update you provide, Denise, you'll continue to do that on a monthly basis. How often you and or Alan come before us, we'll work on a calendar with Tom and get back to you on that. Same
Okay.
with you know, the tax assessor's office, Lisa, as well as now the quarterly update on the school budgets. All right. With
I-
that, I
Thank you.
believe we have come to the end of our agenda.
I would just like to add that maybe if things aren't on track, that Tom and Jared just highlight that to us, and if necessary, we get an oral update if anything looks offbeat.
Fair request, Ann.
Absolutely.
Good call out. Good call out.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
With that, anything else from anyone? Then may I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. We are adjourned. Thank you all. Have a lovely evening, and we'll speak next month.
Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.
Good night.